Did the Black Crowes just release an album that's even better than their comeback record from 2024? That's the big question I had going into this brand new album called A Pound of Feathers. Their previous record, Happiness Bastards, was already seen by many fans as a return to form. So the real challenge here is simple. Can they actually top it? Today we're going back to the story behind the album, what makes this one different, and then we'll go track by track to see if this record really delivers. And by the end of the video, I'll answer the question. My history with the Black Crowes goes all the way back to their debut album, Shake Your Money Maker. At the time, I was mostly listening to metal music. That was really my main thing. But there was something about this band that caught my attention. Their sound felt different from a lot of the music coming out at the time. They reminded me of the classic rock bands I grew up hearing when I was younger, bands like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin. They had that same swagger, that same bluesy rock attitude. I remember buying the second album, The Southern Harmony and Musical Companion. I really enjoyed that one as well. But after that, I kind of lost track of the band for a long time. It wasn't until a few years ago that I rediscovered them with their album, Happiness Bastards. I reviewed that album here on the channel, and I thought it was a really strong comeback record. So naturally, when I heard they were releasing a new album called A Pound of Feathers, I was very curious to see where they would go next. A Pound of Feathers was released on March 13th, 2026 through the band's own label, Silver Arrow Records. Serves as a follow-up to Happiness Bastards, which was even nominated for a Grammy. The album was produced by Jay Joyce and recorded in Nashville. One interesting thing about this album is how quickly it was made. The band reportedly recorded the entire thing in about 8 to 10 days, which is incredibly fast for a full album. But that was actually part of the creative approach. Instead of spending months polishing everything, they used the studio almost like a writing tool. A lot of songs were developed right there during the recording sessions. The album has 11 tracks. It runs about 42 minutes, which in my opinion is a great length for a rock album. It's long enough to explore different ideas, but short enough that it doesn't feel bloated. Musically, the album is loose, funky, dark, and heavy. It captures the raw energy of the band's live performances and pulls influences from classic rock, southern rock, blues, punk, and even a little country. The lineup on the record includes the core of the band, brothers Chris Robinson on vocals and Rich Robertson on guitar, along with Sven Pippian on bass, Cully Symington on drums, and Nico Berchiotto on guitar, and Eric Deutsch on keyboards. And there are some great backing vocals from Mackenzie Adams and Leslie Grant, which add some soulful layers to the music. So with that background out of the way, let's get into the album track by track. The album opens with Profane Prophecy. This one kicks things off with a lot of energy. Right away you hear that Stones-style swagger in the guitar riff, has that classic Keith Richards type of groove. To me, the song sounds almost like a mix of the Rolling Stones and early Kiss. I really like the guitar tone here. It has a dirty, crunchy sound that works perfectly for the style of rock. It's a strong opener, immediately sets the tone for the album. Next we get Cruel Streak, which keeps the momentum going. The song is a really muddy and distorted guitar riff. It almost feels like something inspired by Led Zeppelin. The female backing vocals add a lot to this track. They give the song some emotional depth before it moves into a short guitar solo. Rich Robertson really nailed the guitar tone on this one, and Chris Robinson gives a great vocal performance as well. This is another track that I liked quite a bit. Then we get Pharmacy Chronicles, which changes the mood a little bit. After two heavier songs, this one is more of an acoustic country folk ballad. It features piano and a really nice slide guitar performance. The song deals with some heavier subject matter related to substance abuse and prescription drugs. Musically, it actually reminded me a little bit of their classic songs. One song that came to mind was She Talks to Angels. I like the fact that the album starts showing variety this early. Next we get Do the Parasite, which is probably one of the most unusual songs in the album. It has a punk-influenced energy with aggressive vocals and punchy drumming. The distorted guitar tone actually reminded me a bit of Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, especially that raw tone he used on their classic albums. The riff also strangely reminded me a little of Footloose by Kenny Loggins, which is kind of funny when you think about it, but that's what it reminded me of. It's cool and unexpected. And after that, we get High and Lonesome. It's one of the more unique songs in the album. The track has kind of a desert rock vibe. It even features violin, and it gives the song a slightly haunting atmosphere. The bass is very prominent here, and I really like it because the bassist, Sven Pippian, doesn't always get the spotlight. The song also has a really great chorus and a really memorable groove to the song, so another good one. Queen of the B-Sides is a shorter track. It adds another flavor to the album. This one leans more towards country-tinged acoustic blues. It's fairly stripped down compared with some of the other songs, but it works well in the flow of the album. Again, I like how the record mixes heavier rock songs with acoustic moments. Then we get It's Like That, which was one of the singles. This one brings the album back to the straightforward rock and roll territory. Has a lot of groove and energy. Chris Robinson delivers the vocals with a kind of take no prisoners attitude. The guitar tone here again reminded me of Billy Gibbons, especially the tone he used in the 1990s. It also helps pick up the pace after a slower acoustic track. One of my personal favorites on the album is Blood Red Regrets. It's a dark and powerful track with heavy bass and some guitar parts that feel very Led Zeppelin inspired. There's even a moment in the song where the orchestration and acoustic guitars reminded me of the Rain song. At the same time, there are moments when the instrumentation almost has a Soundgarden style psychedelic vibe. It really is an interesting mix of influences. Next up is You Call Us a Good Time. This is more of a direct rocker with vivid storytelling in the lyrics. Chris Robinson sings about a chaotic scene involving drugs, pills, and a trashed room, and this one paints a very clear picture. Once again, we get that dirty guitar tone from Rich Robinson, and it feels like classic Black Crowes. Then we get Eros Blues. It starts off in a very subtle way. It begins with a Fender Rhodes keyboard. It gives it a smooth, almost soulful intro, but then the song gradually builds into a louder electric section, and it feels almost like a jam session between Joe Cocker and The Who. I really like how the mix of the softer keyboard moments with the heavy guitar parts, and the song is about a 1970s classic rock feel, and another one of my favorites. The album closes with Doomsday Doggerel. Probably the darkest track on the record. Has this Kashmir-style atmosphere, a mysterious and almost hypnotic vibe. There's a spoken recitation section that adds extra layer drama to the song. In some ways, it reminded me in the style of Mad Season with Lane Staley. It's definitely a strange and unusual closer, but it works. So now we come back to the question from the beginning of the video. Is the album better than their comeback record, Happiness Bastards? In my opinion, yes it is. While Happiness Bastards was a really solid return for the band, A Pound of Feathers feels like they took everything that worked on that album and they just did it better. The songwriting feels more confident, the performances feel more energetic, and the album has a really nice balance between hard rock songs, acoustic tracks, and more experimental moments. What I especially like is that the experimental touches never go so far that the band stops sounding like themselves. Still feels very much like a Black Crowes album. And that's also the kind of record where every time you listen to it, you notice something new. There's still a few albums from the catalog, especially some of the ones from the late 90s to early 2000s that I haven't really listened to yet. But based on what I've heard here, it's a strong addition to their discography. So overall, I'm giving A Pound of Feathers 9 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, check out my review of Happiness Bastards. It should be appearing on the screen right now. That video goes deeper into the comeback album and how the band returned after so many years. And if you enjoy rock and metal reviews like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment letting me know what you think of the new album. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.